Drones struck Russian defense industry sites, with explosions reported at the Artemis instrument-making plant in Nizhny Novgorod region, which produces equipment for the aviation and space sectors. There was also reported activity in Dzerzhinsk, one of Russia's key military industry hubs. Located in the Nizhny Novgorod region, the plant was attacked during the night on August 11th. As a result of the strike, the building's roof was damaged, windows were shattered, and equipment inside the area where the explosion occurred was likely damaged. According to video materials, 2 drones attacked the plant, while the third was reportedly neutralized by electronic warfare systems and lost control. Local residents reported hearing 4 to 7 explosions over the city. However, there have been no reports of air defense missile systems being activated. It should be noted that the targeted facility is the Artemis instrument building plant founded in 1957. Since then, it has specialized in the production of military and civilian products for aviation and space systems. The plant is currently part of the Almaz-Antey concern and the Tactical Missile Armament Corporation, highlighting its significance in the production of missile components. The facility manufactures gyroscopic instruments, control systems, onboard electronic computers, steering actuators, and testing and inspection complexes for military use. Specifically, it produces components for Russian missiles and systems. As of today, the Artemis instrument building plant is under sanctions imposed by the United States, Canada, Switzerland, the EU, the United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, and Ukraine. The plant is located approximately 800 kilometers from the Ukrainian state border, making an attack on this facility a rather complex operation. Previously in Penza, 2 enterprises producing electronic equipment for the Russian armed forces had been damaged by drone attacks, Elektropribor and Radiozavod. In the Sumy region, UA Areg team fighters sank a boat and eliminated 3 Russian paratroopers. In the Sumy region of Ukraine, a key development has been the recent announcement by Ukraine's military that they have retaken the village of Bezalivka from Russian forces. This comes after Russia launched a renewed offensive in the region in April and made significant gains. Fighting has intensified in the border areas, and Russian troops are reported to be approximately 20 kilometers from the regional capital of Sumy, which has been under frequent shelling. The situation remains fluid, with ongoing clashes and drone attacks reported on both sides. Ukrainian soldiers are showcasing the Karakurt ground drone, a platform for launching FPV drones. The Ukrainian-developed Karakurt is a tracked, unmanned ground vehicle designed to be a mobile launch platform for FPV drones. The system, which was recently unveiled at the Iron Demo 2025 exhibition, can carry and remotely launch up to 6 FPV drones. Its primary advantage is its ability to be deployed up to 4 kilometers from an operator's position, allowing for drone attacks from unexpected directions while keeping personnel safe. The Karakurt can also launch 2 drones at once, which are controlled by a single operator. The second drone automatically follows the first, allowing for a devastating 1-2 punch on a single target or coordinated attacks on 2 separate targets within a column of enemy vehicles. With an onboard repeater and an aerial relay station, the Karakurt's FPV drones have an operational range of up to 30 kilometers, which, combined with the UGV's forward deployment, gives it an effective strike radius of over 34 kilos. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance told Fox News he believes the U.S. has funded the war in Ukraine enough and wants a peaceful settlement. He said if Europe wants to buy American weapons, that's acceptable, but Europe should play a bigger role in financing the war. Vance added the U.S. will seek a compromise that may leave both Ukrainians and Russians dissatisfied.
What we said to the Europeans is simply, first of all, this is in your neck of the woods, this is in your back door. You guys have got to step up and take a bigger role in this thing. And if you care so much about this conflict, you should be willing to play a more direct and a more substantial way in funding this war yourself. I think the president, and I certainly think that America, we're done with the funding of the Ukraine war business. We want to bring about a peaceful settlement to this thing. We want to stop the killing. But Americans, I think, are sick of continuing to send their money, their tax dollars to this particular conflict. But if the Europeans want to step up and actually buy the weapons from American producers, we're okay with that, but we're not going to fund it ourselves anymore.
What about Israel?
Now, what do I think is ultimately going to come out of this? Look, it's actually very simple. If you take where the current line of contact between Russia and Ukraine is, we're going to try to find some negotiated settlement that the Ukrainians and the Russians can live with, where they can live in relative peace, where the killing stops. It's not going to make anybody super happy. Both the Russians and the Ukrainians probably at the end of the day are going to be unhappy with it. But I don't think you can actually sit down and have this negotiation absent the leadership of Donald J. Trump.
German Chancellor Friedrich Merz said Zelensky should be included in the Trump-Putin meeting in Alaska, stressing that territorial issues cannot be decided without Europeans and Ukrainians. He hopes the summit will lead to a ceasefire in Russia's war against Ukraine.
There have been the most intensive consultations in recent days at all political and administrative levels. I will have another phone call with President Trump today. We are preparing intensively at the European level, together with the American government, for this meeting. And we hope and assume that the Ukrainian government, that President Zelensky will be involved in this meeting. In any case, we cannot accept that territorial issues between Russia and America are discussed or even decided over the heads of Europeans and Ukrainians. I assume that the American government sees it the same way. That is why there is this close coordination.
Last night, Russian forces struck a bus station in Zaporizhzhia with 2 guided aerial bombs, reportedly injuring at least 22 civilians. The attack heavily damaged the bus station and also hit a university medical clinic and 7 apartment buildings nearby. The regional governor, Ivan Fedorov, stated that the number of injured has fluctuated as more people have sought medical attention. The attack, which took place on a weekend evening when the station was in use, has been condemned as an act of terrorism against civilians. And from the other news, a Chinese Type 052D destroyer, the Guilan, and a Chinese Coast Guard vessel collided while attempting to intercept a Philippine patrol boat. Jay Tariella, spokesperson for the Philippine Coast Guard, reported about this on X. He stated that the Chinese ships had been attempting to intercept Philippine fishermen who had been on their way in the morning to the Bajo de Masinloc area. The Philippine Coast Guard deployed the BRP Teresa Magbanua, BRP Suluan, and the MV Pamamalakaya vessels for the Kadiwa ng Bagong Bayaning Mangingisda initiative, aimed at supporting local fishermen. At the time, around 35 Philippine fishing vessels were in the area. At that time, Philippine ships and fishermen were confronted with dangerous maneuvers and blockades from the Chinese Coast Guard vessel CCG-3104, which was aggressively chasing the BRP Suluan. The Chinese ship executed a risky maneuver on the starboard side of the Philippine vessel and collided with the Chinese Type 052D destroyer Guilin. As a result of the collision, the Chinese Coast Guard ship lost several crew members who were on deck at the moment of impact and fell into the water. According to the spokesperson, the Chinese Coast Guard vessel sustained significant damage, compromising its buoyancy and potentially leading to its sinking. Immediately after the collision, the Philippine side offered assistance in searching for those who had fallen overboard and providing medical aid to the injured crew members. Meanwhile, the Philippine side successfully escorted the Filipino fishermen to a secure area where they received fuel and other necessary supplies. The representatives of the Philippine Coast Guard pointed out that those actions had highlighted the lack of professionalism on the part of the Chinese maritime forces. This incident clearly reflects the heightened tensions over disputed territories, which are now limited to interceptions and the use of water cannons against fishermen and Coast Guard ships from both countries. Meanwhile, the struggle for disputed territories between the Philippines and China continues, as the Philippine Coast Guard maintains its presence in contested waters of the South China Sea, particularly in the Sabina Shoal area, despite China's demands and provocations. Additionally, in 2016, the Hague Arbitration Court rejected China's claims to these territories. Beijing did not recognize this ruling and continues to pursue an aggressive policy, carrying out active operations by its Coast Guard in these waters.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comments section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.